It won't, now it would be on. It's
All right, I'd like to call the regular meeting of the Park and Rec Commission to order. This meeting has been given public notice in accordance with section 19.83 and 19.84 Wisconsin statutes in such a form that will apprise the general public and news media of subject matter that is intended for consideration and action. In terms of roll call, we have Commissioner Eby, Trustee Cutts, School Representative Paulik, and Commissioner Stapleman with us this evening. And Commissioner Steves and Smith are excused this evening with, unfortunately, illness. So move right along. Item number 3, under citizens input, please be advised that per 19.84 subparen 2, that information and comment will be received from the public. It is a policy of the municipality that the public input be limited to a 4-minute period per person with a time extension granted at the discretion of the chairperson. Be advised that there may be limited discussions of the information received, but no action will be taken under public comments. Comments that may be injurious to village personnel or other individuals will not be allowed. Any public comment written? No? Any public comment from the public? Hearing none. Next item on the agenda, item 4, meeting minutes, the Park and Rec meeting minutes from the October 15th, 2025 meeting are in your packet. Had a chance to review. And any recommended changes, let us know, but
Make a motion to approve the October 15th minutes as stated.
Second.
motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it.
Tracy, you second that, correct?
All right. Item number 5, unfinished business, update on 2026 budget for discussion. Gil,
Thank you. I feel very fortunate that our budget was approved for this year. And the money that was originally cut out of our program expenses will be replaced. So we should be running up to the full 182 for 2026, which is good news. Before the final budget, we did have to go before the board to ask for some additional funding. What it was involved in our recreation celebrations, it showed that we were $8,000 short. Reality, we raised that money through donations and also through our beer sales at the park. So where it looks like we're $8,000 in the hole, we actually made over $30,000 to the plus in that. So that will more than cover that cost. Also in recreation charge card, we were only allotted $21,000 per charge. And every time a parent signs their child up for a youth athletic program, for the kids club program, I would say over 90% of them use charge cards. As you know, using charge cards, there's always a charge back to the company that they take. Up to this point, we've tried to avoid putting that back onto the public. We try to figure that in our cost itself. But in the long run, we were allotted 21,000, but we spent 36,000 in that. And up front, it looks like, well, you overspent your budget. But the reality is we made that much more in revenue to cover that cost. So the board granted us the 15,000 to overcome that. And then the last area was in recreation maintenance and costs. Basically, I'm not sure why that's categorized as that, but basically what that means is that we take our RecTrack program, which is our accounting system. That's what we do our registrations through. That's what we do our facility rentals through. They give us reports on our budgets, year-to-date reports, all that. And typically, that's about an $18,000, almost $19,000 a year cost to us, but there was only $8,000 budgeted to that. But again, the board granted us the additional dollars to cover that cost as well. So the reality is we lost money on our line items, but only because we made money in the long run. And I think that's the bottom line as what the board looks at. But yes, the other thing I was very pleased about is we are going to get a new audio sound system, audio and visual, new TVs and Bluetooth and all, much more technical, logical than I can explain to you. But in the senior center, which is long due for upgrades there. So the board generously approved is like 22,000 and change, but we're going to redo 3 rooms in the senior center, the main banquet hall, the multipurpose room, and then the conference room. But part of our hopes is that to market these new additions to the building in hopes that we bring in more baby boomers. right now we attract a lot of the older, the 80s on up, which we have a great amount of folks, but we're trying to get more of the baby boomers that come in. Baby boomers, they do fill up all of our trips programs, no problem, and we generate good revenue. But we like to be able to offer activities that will be able to utilize this new audio visual equipment and probably bring them in. And then also, I think we can market our facility and get more rentals out of it. I think we could maybe have more small businesses come in, and now they'll be able to do full-blown presentations and other areas as well. So usually my motive when I ask for these things is I look at how much can we generate off of it to get back to the village. So that was passed. In our capital equipment projects, real quickly, we will be adding new pickleball lines to the 2 tennis courts at Outbauer. It'll be like Spaslin Park. If you've ever played pickleball at Spaslin, you have lines on the tennis courts, but you can play either pickleball or tennis. So we have the 2 full courts that are strictly pickleball, but I added in the budget $2,000 to come in and add lines. So that'll give us 6 additional or 4 more additional pickleball courts as well. At no fault of the contractor that repainted the courts and repaired cracks a couple years ago, we're starting to see more of that again. The reality is all of our courts are built where water comes off hills or whatever, and it gets underneath that concrete. And when it gets that concrete wet, that creates the cracks, and it's something we're going to have to deal with until at some point we redo all of our courts and make sure that we have a proper drainage system in there. But I was given money to go in and repair the cracks in the paint at both Hopstrasse and at Kinderberg courts. I was also given the money. I will finally, after 2026, I will feel comfortable. I have met my obligations with baseball. Right now, if you go down to Freistadt Field, we have all new fencing around the T-ball, and also Little League uses that. We have a new backstop. We have new fencing. We'll have dugouts. And then we'll complete the work at Kinderberg Park. We'll have new dugouts. And then in 2026, I'll be putting a netting system over the backstop, much like Hopstrasse and Friedenfeld. And I was allotted money to be able to do that. And then getting back to fencing, if you ever play tennis at Kinderberg, forgive me if I might get my directions wrong, the north side of the course, the fence is raised over time and balls are escaping under the courts itself. And so I was allotted money to go in there and have a fencing company reposition the fence and set it where it should be. Therefore, all balls will remain in play. And then the last thing that I hope to be able to accomplish at Hopstrasse Park, the outfield fence, if you've ever noticed, is starting to raise above ground, almost the entire fence around. You can almost see where the concrete posts have come out of the ground. So I've got the money to come in and reset, actually change out all the posts and the concrete and fencing is necessary and kind of redo the outfield fence where there will be no issues with that as well. So my goal this year was to try to ask for the money to redo the tennis, pickleball courts and the fencing around the ball fields. And we should be able to accomplish that. So altogether, the board gave me about $55,000 to accomplish these goals. So I feel good about that. The project that I was talking to you about at um, Fireman's Park, we're eventually looking to demo the shelter and then put that money towards remodeling the building. That will probably be an agenda item that will take before the board in mid-December. Also, DPW has asked me if I could hold off on demolishing the the um, the old picnic shelter until the spring. For years, that's where they take all the picnic tables and they store them underneath that. So they'll get one more winter of that protection. And then next year, if I'm allowed to demo the facility, then they'll have to look for an alternative to do that. But yeah, so that project will move forward. Hopefully get approval to change the funding and be able to start on that project for 2026. What worries me is the main obstacle is police and fire are also going after dollars from the village, which they've already approved, I think, $3 million to start looking at. Is it the police or the fire? The fire?
3 million is for the new police department to do the planning, and it's over 6 million to remodel the fire station and get things cleaned up there.
Right. So I'm looking, it's going to be a hard sell, but I'm not asking for that kind of money. I don't think it'll require that kind of money to remodel the fire station. But if anyone's been to the fire station and walked around the facility, and you've got to ask yourself, we're exposing hundreds of kids a week to some of these conditions. So the building that badly needs it. And I think I've got some support from the board to move forward with that. But just letting you know, I'll move forward with that project or go to the board with it probably mid-December. So I think all in all, Parks and Rec, we didn't get an increase in, well, I take that back. I apologize. Staffing will probably get a 3.5% increase, which also increases our overall budget for staffing as well. So that part will see an increase, but everywhere else, we tried to maintain what we've had, but at least we didn't go backwards like we did a couple years ago and lose money. So I appreciate the board letting us move forward and giving us back the 12,000 that we thought we were going to lose in our operations dollars. So
Questions, discussions? Well, I appreciate everything staff put into the budget cycle. It seems to be getting more and more difficult. So we have to look at that year round. I appreciate this commission and the village board for listening to our concerns regarding additional cuts to the program. So great job. And yeah, I'm sure it will be a continuous item for discussion almost year round these days. So thank you. Moving right along, item number 6, new business, Division Road at 2024 Trail Plan Update. Kick it off.
we have our village engineer, Kevin Driscoll, that is going to give a presentation. This is going to be talking about, in addition to the trail plan that was developed through the core plan for Division Road.
Thank you, Gil. Good evening, commissioners. So I'm here tonight because during design of Division Road, staff had identified that there was an omission to the 2024 trail plan. And that was attached as one of the exhibits. So since the trail plan is relatively new and staff wants to do work that's transparent with our design process, one of my models is limiting surprises. So when we go out there and do the work, I'd like to make sure that what we're approving and presenting to Public Works highway committee and ultimately to the village board for contract approval is consistent with the trail, like plans that are approved, including the trail plan. So I wanted to bring this forward. I wasn't quite sure of what the process would be ultimately, but understanding that the trail plan was approved through the Parks and Recreation Commission, bringing this item in front of the Public Works and Highways Committee preceding this meeting has been part of what the Director of Public Works and myself have move forward. And that's where I'd like to bring this item to your attention. Staff is requesting that the Parks and Recreation Commission consider a revision to the 2024 trail plan where sidewalk extensions in the right-of-way are being designed as part of the Division Road project based on public information meetings in 2024, in addition to Public Works and Highways Committee concurrence to improve connectivity and safety along Division Road. So staff is requesting that the Park and Recreation Commission also consider updating the 2024 trail plan north of Lilac Lane for connecting safety, for connectivity, safety, and consistency with the proposed Division Road reconstruction. So there's some exhibits that are attached, and I'm open to take questions on that regarding there's the existing omission and then the proposed extension between Virginia and Lilac to design the trail all the way down, or excuse me, the sidewalk, because it would actually be in the public right of way, and by ordinance, it's defined as a sidewalk. It'll just be made of asphalt. So what we're proposing is to extend the existing asphalt sidewalk down to Lilac and put a pedestrian crossing in instead of having a dead end south of Virginia. So that's one so I think there's three components: acknowledging the omission and updating the plan for the omission. The second thing would be extending the sidewalk to Lilac. And then the third part would be north of Virginia, creating connectivity, extending on the west side of Division Road up to Mequon Road for future, as part of like when a future project would come along, that the village reserves the right to have that sidewalk built for pedestrian access, connecting that west side of Division Road into Mequon Road and into Division Road North to Main Street in the Village Center District. So I'm open to comments, questions. Yes.
Now, that's not the only part of Division Road that you've identified, right? I was reading earlier that from like Dottie or Wendy down by Kessler's Diamonds, there's a missing segment down there.
Correct. That's in the trail plan too.
Oh, that one is already in the trail plan to add that in. So this is additional.
Yeah, there was discussion around the curve by Wendy and Dottie whether or not it might make sense to, in addition to making the connectivity where there's a gap between Wendy and Dottie on the west side of Division Road, to also look at potential consideration and budgeting for a parallel sidewalk on the east or the north side of Division Road, where there's quite a bit of public right-of-way available, where that could potentially extend all the way into Revere near the park, where there's quite a bit of pedestrian movement in that area.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's a long shot. I like the idea of it, that's for sure.
And that's not part of the agenda.
No.
That's in addition, what I'm focused on is the phase 1 work of Division Road, which is anticipated for construction in 2026 from Mequon Road south to the Jefferson Creek. It was formerly referred to frequently as a ditch, the Jefferson Ditch, and
Yeah.
referring to it as Jefferson Creek, I think is a common thing that we're going to be identifying. And then, so that'll be the phase one from the Jefferson Creek north to Mequon Road, and then the phase two Division Road project would be from the Jefferson Creek down to County Line Road. So the focus that I have right now is to make sure our phase one design is consistent with the approved trail.
You know, on that, you know, the phase one design from Mequon Road down to Division, is there any plan to improve the existing side path there?
Yes, the trail plan refers to side paths, and in the ordinance, there's sidewalks that are in the right of way. And then there's pathways that are outside of the right of way on private property. So working in the public right of way, I try to refer to them as sidewalks. And we're looking at replacing these typically 5-foot asphaltic sidewalks with 8-foot paths. So there's been some coordination with We Energies, with some of the anchors and some of the poles that they have along the path because the paths meander.
Yeah,
So we're looking at getting the paths a little more linear in terms of like straightness. And relocating some of these anchors. So it's a little less wavy through there. Yes, so the path, excuse me, the sidewalk will go from 5 feet typically to 8 feet.
and that's part of the 2026 redoing of Division Road.
Correct.
Okay, good. I wasn't aware of that, but that is good. And then then from the Schrader Ditch going south to Donges Bay, is that 2027? Or-
2027 is the schedule for that construction activity. So we've designed that in 26 for construction activity in 2027, where there's a proposed sanitary force main work that goes down to Donges Bay Road. So Department of Public Works engineering staffs coordinating those efforts.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like your idea a lot. It's on the west side of Division to bring a sidewalk down. And there's already a sidewalk in front of the Virginia, from Virginia Road, right in front of the plaza.
Yes.
And it just dead ends.
Yeah,
So
dead
you
ends
just-
at the property line. So I would imagine, with the planning commission, when that site plan was approved,
They made
one
them
of
put
the,
it
one of
in.
the amenities
Yeah,
was to say, build a pedestrian path or sidewalk
Yeah.
along the frontage of your parcel. And that's what transpired. So,
And that sidewalk will be replaced as a part of this?
correct.
Okay. Because I can see some of the gaps from the air photos, so it's time and, okay.
I
Did
think
you want-
Don had
Commissioner Eby?
Sure. So I just wanted then to clarify what we're talking, I mean, this section here, I'm looking at, I guess it's page 17 on this packet, it's, or 2 of 5 on the Brave packet. And so we've got this little red section here. That's the new piece that you're talking about right now
yes.
here. Okay. And so that you're referring to that as a sidewalk, but this is going to be an 8-foot wide path sidewalk. Is that right?
Yeah,
Okay.
the asphalt will be 8 feet wide.
Okay.
And then
And-
just, yes.
And then the yellow part, that part's being replaced, or that's the same, that's because that's existing currently.
That is the plan to replace the existing as well.
And then I'm just trying to clarify and make sure I'm following everything that you're saying. So then the northern part then that goes all the way up to Mequon there, that's connecting it, but not doing it right now, or it is doing it right now as well?
It would not be part of the
Not part of the
2026
construction then? Okay.
construction plan,
Just putting it on the plan.
just
Got it.
updating the plan, correct?
Thank you. I just
And
wanted to
what-
clarify those things.
And by putting it on the plan, I think that was one of my goals and one of the Park and Rec Commission's goals was, first, we need a comprehensive plan. Second, we need a trail plan. And by putting these things on a trail plan, it puts developers on notice. It puts village staff on notice that we want to make these connections. And when that project comes through, we have clear direction of what's going to be put there, however that is, at the developer's expense or at the village's expense, some negotiation there. But it's ultimately how we bring everything together, so.
No, real quick, you know, when you're talking about, Don was talking about the yellow line on page 14. And then down to Lilac South, you know, you got the red dotted line. That's the one you're proposing, right? When it says 14 of 29.
The red dotted line are all the amendments you would like us to approve as a part of this discussion, correct?
Correct. Yes, including
I'm just
page,
curious
page
because-
14, yes.
It looks
red-
right at the top of the page, the yellow sidewalk comes in much further away from the road, right?
Correct.
And then it looks like you're gonna jaunt closer to the road and then go south, right?
Yeah,
Any
there's,
reason
yes,
for
that's
that?
correct. There's a hydrant and a culvert right there. So we'll have an S curve type of shape to follow the right of way and the property line,
Sure.
where the parcels to the south have the 33-foot highway easement. So it's not the full 60-foot setback from the center line of the road.
So you can't push it further left. You've kind of maxed out what you can.
To stay within the existing highway easement, yes, for the 33 feet, that's why there's the bend or the S curve
Yeah.
in the alignment. Staff is currently in a process for updating a plat map to correspond with the Division Road project. So that way, the work that we're doing is established in a platted right of way.
I just like to, you know, that's kind of where, you know, the main purpose of that sidewalk right there is to push a wheelchair. You know, that's a nursing home there. You're gonna push wheelchairs there. And the further away from the road you are, the better, you know? But it looks like you're using up your 33 feet. It'd be nice if you could go on the other side of that culvert, you know, or that ditch that's there, but you can't. You're kind of stuck.
Not without permission of the property owner.
And do you try to ask for that? There's only two of them.
We're actually this week, we're doing the plat work right now, and some of the grading work that we're looking at, we may be discussing temporary land easements.
Yeah,
So
so
I-
it doesn't hurt to ask them. It only, it improves the value of their home. Having a sidewalk there that provides access for, you know. I just hate to say, oh, we never asked them.
Yeah, so I wanted to do one step at a time to make sure
Yeah,
that
yeah.
we're having concurrence to move forward with it
Oh,
in the
good.
first place.
Director Standridge?
My question is, in recent board meetings, there's been discussion about in 2027 that homeowners are going to start being responsible for their sidewalks, cleaning them off during snow removal. Well, and I can see from Mequon to Donges, basically there's no houses. So I assume that this will be the responsibility of DPW to remove snow on that pathway. Or,
That hasn't been established at this point.
okay,
The map is still being finalized for what currently exists. What's been presented, I do have a couple copies of what's been presented that I can pass around, but I don't have enough copies for everyone. But just in general, the senior living facility on the west side of Division at Virginia Avenue, that's proposed for private maintenance of the sidewalk along the frontage of that parcel. And that would be consistent with what's north along Mequon Road, where this would connect to, where that's also frontage along those parcels. And that would be maintained by those private property owners to clear their sidewalk. So the gap between that, I would presume at this point to move forward with that becoming a private ownership responsibility, private property owner responsibility to maintain the sidewalk and clearing the snow as well.
Yeah, you're gonna get a lot of kickback on that. right there.
And I was gonna say that map is fluid and that could change. That could change after year one, you know, in terms of what's in, what's not, in terms of maintenance. So, other questions, comments, thoughts?
I think it's a good idea to update the connectivity, and as long as the road is gonna be redone, now is the time to get it in there, so it all happens
Yeah.
at the same time.
No, I certainly think this makes sense to do an amendment and refer to it as amendment to the trail plan, so it gets attached to our trail document. So forever, when somebody looks back and says, why was this put in? We did adopt it at this Park and Rec Commission meeting. Greatly appreciate Kevin, the engineering staff, Public Works. I've been on this commission since 2007, and unfortunately, your day-to-day activities take up so much that you go to Public Works, you go to other entities, and I think our goal was to get this plan in front of planning department, community development, the engineers, so they can look at it as a guide. And now coming forward saying, hey, before we go forward with this, it makes sense. Let's make sure there's approval at both the Public Works and the Park and Rec Commission. I know probably a year and a half ago now, there was debate regarding a sidewalk or a trail along Donges Bay Road where everything was being put in. And if it was done a little more preemptively, such as this, there probably would have been a lot less discussion. I think it took another 2 to 3 months because we kind of came in late in the game to ask some questions. So
And it
I
was-
appreciate the question of the amendment for the trail plan. That's the right thing to do. And I appreciate Public Works looking at these things. We've been told for years that trails will be updated when we upgrade these roads, and they're in desperate need of them. So thank you for bringing this forward.
You're welcome.
Just one comment is the further away from the center of the road that you can keep that side path or sidewalk, it is appreciated. Cause there's some on the east side of Division that are right along, you know, that trail path. I mean, it's the most walked trail path in Germantown and it's right along the road. So if you can move it in 4 feet, 5 feet, you're 33 feet from the center, you know, do it if you can.
Yeah, I understand the one spot at the southeast corner of Hawthorne, and we're creating a buffer space in
Yeah.
in our new design at that northbound right turn lane
Oh,
as part of the
fantastic.
the reconstruction project.
Good. No,
based
thank
on
you.
All the feedback that we've gotten.
And then just north of, the Gables, it gets kind of tight right there. I don't know what you can do, but you know, it's just real tight. I mean, you're right, walking with traffic more or less.
Okay.
Well, thank you.
All right, you're welcome.
Any further discussion? If there's no more discussion, could I receive a recommendation regarding the amendment?
Make a motion to update the trail plan to design for safety improvement and connectivity of sidewalks, including the Division Road reconstruction project as presented in the packet.
Second?
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unopposed. All right, thank you. Appreciate it. Next item on the agenda, item number 7, Village Board Report.
Okay, as Gil mentioned, we just passed the budget last Monday, and Rec Department, it stays steady with what they had last year. Everything will be announced for taxes, and bills should be coming out the second or third week of December, once everything gets up to the county. There was just a vote Monday night again. It was brought back for the drive-through restaurant for Blackstone Creek on that corner. And that did get approved to change the zoning so that a drive-through restaurant can go in there. The scuttlebutt is it's going to be Culver's. That's what we've seen. So that should be going forward. There was also an amendment, an ordinance created for ATVs and UTVs to be able to ride on village roads. So that is in the works. and had a little discussion about the Flower Source building and demolition to get that down for safety reasons, because there's a lot of broken glass, and with winter coming, it's just an area where people might be looking to get out of the cold. So we're gonna go forward with that and get that demoed.
Thought the Culvers thing was read in the paper was rejected.
It was brought back by reconsideration, for reconsideration. And then a motion was made to change it to just be that front parcel and not the whole thing,
Not the apartments.
correct?
Okay, so
At
we
the
skipped
current
that.
time, yes.
Got it. And what's going on with the town center?
Nothing yet. There's an RFP out to have somebody come in and have some neighborhood meetings.
Yeah.
So hopefully by the end of the year, I think we should have a firm picked for that to do some more design for the whole village center district. To plan everything from there down to Blackstone over to Main Street and try to come up with what the village wants to see going forward. So when developers come in, they already know what we want.
Good idea.
So.
All right. Thank you for the update. Appreciate it. Item number 8, school board report.
Don't really have anything for you. It's been relatively quiet at the school board, thankfully. But we did have our annual meeting a couple weeks ago now. So good attendance, good participation. Appreciate everybody who was able to attend that. And we'll see what happens for the next report.
Sometimes no report is a good report, so
True.
thank you. But you did have an activity today at the school we talked about.
We did. We had the academic awards ceremony. So all of the students who excelled academically were recognized. A lot of times, you hear about the athletes with their commitments to different sports and different, Division I, Division II sports. But we recognize our academic achievements twice a year as well, and it doesn't probably get enough press, but it's a nice event for parents to come in to the PAC and watch their kids walk across the stage and get their pins or their different things that they've earned due to their academic achievements.
Yeah. No, I thought it was a great event. Very unique in that regard, and I think it's definitely needed. To honor the students that are doing the best. That should be the first thing that we expose the most.
Yep.
All right, thank you. Item number 9, director's report. Director Standridge.
As I was talking about in the budget earlier, Northway has been working on putting up new fencing dugouts and extended the backstop at Friedstadt Field. And today they just started working on building the dugouts and replacing the bottom part of the backstop at Kinderberg. And then now that I've got approval, then I'll probably be doing RFPs to complete the project at Kinderberg and also Opstrasse for next year. Altbauer pickleball courts. As you know, we had issues this year with some of the materials that they put in and converting those pickleball courts from tennis courts to pickleball that created dead spots on the courts themselves. ProTrack showed up finally, and they've took out the chemicals that they were using, and they actually put in concrete in that area. And now we have a true bounce. And now they also repaired all the cracks that were showing up at the time. And so now the court looks like it should when it was originally fixed. And I've had several comments on some of the players that have played on the courts. So it's been very positive. A couple of weeks ago, vandalism, for whatever reason, has continued in our parks. I think I've reported on issues we've had at Friedenfeld and at Kinderberg. Well, a couple of weeks ago, vandals got in and they tore open the door to the shed that we keep at Altbauer, basically where we store tennis equipment. They didn't really steal the equipment that was in there, probably because they saw how bad a shape it was in, and it wasn't worth stealing. But they did damage the door. So a police report was filed, and damage was extensive enough that the door needed replacement. Public Works came in and replaced the door and the lock at a cost of $600. If the police do end up catching the vandals, they will be forced to pay the restitution to the village to replace the door. I'm not sure why we've been vandalized so much this year, but fortunately, everything that's been vandalized has been replaced. The ATVs that were taken from the baseball program and the football program have been replaced. However, one ATV was damaged, and I think it cost the program about $800 to fix the damage to that. But we've gotten all those back as well. And so everything has been repaired and replaced. At the senior center, I just wanted to make you aware, some of you that come up to the senior center or whatever may not know, Mary Fiegel, that who's been our coordinator for many years there, has been dealing with some health issues. She's been in and out of the hospital. I've had a few surgeries, and she's dealing with these issues. And now she's in a rehab center, hopefully to work on trying to get some of her health back. So she's currently on the FMLA program and probably will be till mid-December. She has expressed a desire to come back to be the coordinator of the center again, but again, we're all playing that by ear, depending on if she can overcome these health issues and get released by her doctors. But in the meantime, Susan, her assistant, although she's been part-time, has stepped up and taken over the day-to-day operations of the facility. My staff has stepped forward and offered their assistance. For example, Brenton, our coordinator over marketing, he's come in and done up the newsletter for them. And so I don't think the center has really missed a beat, or I hope not, or we haven't gotten any complaints that they've missed a beat. So we're all trying to help Susan. And then also Jenny, who also works part-time up there, has stepped up and taken over full-time days, where in the past she hasn't, but only worked part-time. So we're all trying to keep the center going, and we're hoping that Mary will have a speedy recovery, and the goal is for her to return. I've already, I think I mentioned to you when I was talking about the budget, the old Fireman Park shelter. I have on the agenda December 1st. However, that will probably be moved back to the 15th. That will go to the board and present a proposal that I presented to you about demoing the shelter, and hopefully hiring a consulting firm to come in and spend 2026 coming up with plans, maybe in a phase program to remodel the fire station. And so hopefully that'll come, and then we'll work on that for 2026. The farmers market and 4th of July, kind of combine those. We held our last farmers market on Saturday, October 25th. The following Saturday, the first Saturday in November, I held a wrap-up meeting with the vendors, and we had about 12 vendors and families show up here at Village Hall. And altogether, there was about 20 folks. And I had made pizza for, well, I had bought pizza and soda for them I don't think they would have enjoyed if I had made it. But comments and suggestions were extremely positive and helpful. I think they're hoping that we market the farmers market a little more through publications. The vendors would like to see their personal links added to our Facebook page and so forth, which is easy to do. But all of them that showed up have said that they would be willing to come back for 2026. That's a positive sign. That shows me that they really enjoy doing the market. I think one of the things that came out of it is they like the low key style that Germantown provides, for the market. I don't put a lot of rules on them, but I don't have to. These market folks are very well organized. They come back and they know where to set up. They know what needs to be done. The parking lot, you never see any trash or anything on it afterwards. So I've never had a complaint from the village about having them there. So positive remarks and a couple other things that we can do to try to upgrade the market for next year. And I just see this market is growing. When I first came on board, there was maybe 12 vendors, and this year we were up to 33. So that's a positive. Now, will we ever be able to compete with West Bend or some of the larger markets, Milwaukee? I don't think so. But when you talk to the vendors, they like that we're more local. They like keeping it the size it is. They like the locals that come in and frequent them. And so it's been a good program for them. Anyway, next year, as you know, for the 4th of July, this will be held on a Saturday. So I talked to the farmers market. Would they entertain the idea of, one, having a farmers market on the 4th of July? And two, would they entertain the idea of, at least for the one Saturday, moving the market to Fireman's Park, where most of the activities are? And they were said yes on both parts. Now, typically during from May to October, we have, no matter if a holiday falls or not, they have the market. But rarely have we had too many holidays fall during those times. But it was exciting to see that all of them said that they wanted to have a market set up at Fireman's Park on the 4th of July. Also, I asked if any of them would like to be part of a subcommittee to help me plan that out. And every vendor that showed up here signed up to be part of that subcommittee. So we will involve them in the decisions that we do. We're still waiting on the Chamber of Commerce to determine when the parade is going to be held, and we'll work around that accordingly. But I think this will be great exposure for the farmers market. I think if they're willing to wait until after the parade is over, they're going to have a couple thousand people already, captive audience. I'm sure not all of them will attend the farmers market, but I'd like to think a great many of them will come over there and check that out. So I see that as a real positive for us. And talking about the 4th of July, I know that I've met with the village administrator, myself, staff, and the president of the Chamber of Commerce. And the chamber has volunteered to do the parade. So that takes us out of the parade business. However, they are still looking at us to be responsible for food vendors, beer garden, live music, and fireworks. We're still working, the chamber is reaching out to different organizations to see if they would come in and do children's games and so forth. I've looked at the village president was curious to see if we could have kind of a carnival type atmosphere. And a couple of the carnivals that, first of all, they want a 3-day program to generate revenue, and they're expensive. So I don't think the reality is we'll bring in a carnival, but I've looked at carnival type rides and stuff that are on a smaller scale that they could, that the vendors would bring in and set up and man for us. And I think it's feasible that we could have some pretty cool rides and stuff to bring in. But it's expensive, so it just depends on where the money will come from. But we could add that and still have things like balloon artists, face painters, and those kind of things. So I think we can still create a pretty good carnival atmosphere and things for the kids to do. We have reached out, my staff and I have reached out and talked to Boot Jack Hill. I don't know if some of you may or may not be familiar with him. The person that heads up the band is a local and has worked with the village. And I don't know if any of y'all remember a couple years ago when Trustee Hudson, he and his wife for 2 years, they ran the 4th of July, and Boot Jack Hill was one of the bands that they had, and they were well received. They're kind of rockabilly, or they play country to a rock style, which seems to be pretty popular. And they're willing to perform for us at they'd be willing to work within the budget we can give them. And we've been able to line up a sound and lighting person and possibly to fill in time. This person's also DJ'd. So maybe for an hour or so, we have DJ music before the band. And then I know that Wolverine Fireworks has worked with us for years, and they're just waiting on the okay to come back and do the 4th of July fireworks for us as well. So what we are hoping to do, kind of a compromise, I know you guys have stepped up for us to the board and asked to take us out of it. And I wish we could, but the reality is to get like the Phil Hudsons, the Kiwanis, the Chamber of Commerce of the past, to take over the full event is probably not a reality. And so we're looking just to be part of the 4th of July. Like I said, the chamber is willing to do the parade, which is a huge burden lifted off of our shoulders. So I know that the village administrator, the village president, is reaching out to try to get volunteers to come in. And so if my staff lays the groundwork for the activities and we get enough volunteers, then maybe they won't actually have to come on the 4th and do that. I know myself, I'm placing it on myself to be here on the 4th, and I just accepted that as part of the job. So I have no problem with that. But the village president does, since it is the 250th year the United States has celebrated their freedom, he's looking to try to have a big bang up fireworks, or not fireworks, a whole 4th of July. So we're trying to aim towards that. I think one of the problems, and it's been brought up, is if we do a real big bang up job this year, is this something the public is going to expect every year? And that's going to be a tough question. But again, we're just trying to work towards the 4th of July, and 26 will be the 250th. So I think a big part of it is getting volunteers. And as I say that, I'm reaching out to each of y'all to see, and you don't have to answer tonight. We have several months, obviously, to work this out, but hoping that we can get you guys to be part of the 4th of July as well. And we could work it out different segments of the day or whatever, so no one's having to be here from sun up to sundown, so to speak. So we'd love to have you guys volunteer if you're willing to do so. Recreation, I won't go on there.
Any questions on that
I'm sorry.
first? No, no. Who organized the Christmas parade over this weekend? Was that the Chamber of?
That was also the Chamber of Commerce, yeah.
I attended it and it was more robust than it has been for years. So, if anybody is a part of the chamber, in front of the chamber, tell them they did a bang up job. So I thought they did a really good job and, glad to see they're taking a segment of the 4th of July. So.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Beautiful day.
It was a beautiful day out. Yes.
I just want to say something real quick, and I'll be real brief. Gil, I really appreciate with the headwinds that you keep having with the 4th of July stuff, the extra work and the creative things you're doing, the way that you're talking with the solutions with maybe we can have the farmer's market out there. It's great thinking because you guys and your staff is saddled with a responsibility that I still believe is not yours. So the fact that you're taking it on the way you are, I personally, as a citizen of this village, appreciate, and I know everyone on this board does as well. I will speak.
Thank
for them
you.
all.
Thank you.
Sure.
All right.
Well said. All right, next item, recreation report.
Okay. I'll just kind of give you the Cliff Notes version. I won't go over every part of it, but we have 23 programs starting in November. Lots of activities going on throughout the winter. We are getting more sponsors for our youth programs. Our sponsorships are up. And the most important thing I wanted you to take away from the rec report is that our winter spring brochure has now been posted online. So you can go online and see all of our activities and also register online as well. But we will still have hard copies. We always try to put out at least 2,000 hard copies that we keep up here at the village, over at the library, at the senior center. And we also take to the school system to give out to the youth there as well. But yeah, our brochure is out. So a lot of work and blood, sweat, and tears goes into putting out that brochure as well. So we're very proud of it.
Any questions on recreation reports? Hearing none. Item number 10, announcements of public interest. The next regularly scheduled meeting, Park and Rec Commission, will be held on December 17th, 2025 at 5:30 p.m. However, Linda.
We're going to see how that lays out as Gil gets information. Thank you. As I stated, Gil's going to look at information that comes in during the month of December to see if that meeting needs to take place or if it's something that can wait until our January meeting. I gave you all calendars to let you know what our meeting dates will be for 2025 and 2026, and also included the January 1 of 2027. Again, you guys will get a new calendar for 27 when we get a little bit closer to that. But I will keep you abreast of what is going on once we're given that information and make sure that you're all informed, and we'll see how it plays out.
Awesome. Thank you. Item 11, adjournment. Motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
All in favor, say aye.
Hi.
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned at 6:30.
Not bad. Wow.
I saw I had the opportunity to use this.